Hey, hey, from West Virginia. Or not. Anyways, let's have a joke of the day because you know it's the best part of the day. Why did the physics teacher break up with the biology teacher? They had no chemistry. So, let's mix it up then and let's take a look at some applications of inequalities. Now, there are many, many applications for inequalities in real life because you know that it is a very rare thing in life that things actually come up to be equal. It's more often than not that something comes up to be greater than something else or something smaller than something else. So there are tons of applications for inequalities in the real world. Now, like I've told you before, whenever you are dealing with applications, or like we like to call them word problems, what you need to do is read it in its entirety one time just to get a feeling for what's happening, and then break it down sentence by sentence. Just go slow. Don't worry about speeding things up and going too fast. Just slow it down and you'll get there. So let's read this. A university is running a drive to raise money. A corporation has promised to match 40% of whatever the university can raise from other sources. How much must the school raise from other sources to have a total of at least $800,000 after the corporation's donation? So, we've read it in its entirety one time just to get that feeling for what's happening. And what we know is happening here is we are going to raise some money. The university is going to raise some money. And then a corporation is going to add to that some money. And what the corporation is going to add is 40% of what the university raised. 40% of the university's money. That's what the corporation is going to raise. And we put those two together, what it's telling us is we want to have at least $800,000. At least $800,000. Now, let's go back and let's take these sentence by sentence just to make sure we've got things going right here. So, university is running a drive to raise money. That's good enough. The corporation has promised to match 40% of whatever the university can raise. That's right here. 40% of whatever the university can raise money. Going to be added in. How much must the school raise from other sources to have a total of at least $800,000? So I do have it represented correctly here. Now, the idea is this. In order for this to be at least $800,000, does that mean that when these two are added together, that it's okay for it to be like this? That inequality symbol. No, because this indicates this is going to be smaller than $800,000. At least means it's okay to be bigger. Bigger is better than, all the money we can get is better. So that means the inequality symbol is going to flip around like this. Now, one more question. Is it okay for it to be $800,000? In other words, is it okay for it to be equal to? Yes, that's what at least means. At least means bare minimum, I want $800,000, so the equal to part's okay, but bigger is going to be even better. So now we've got this idea of what's happening. We need to figure out, okay, this university money, do we know how much is being raised? No, there's our unknown. So we need to define that variable, and let's let U equal the money that the university is going to raise. Money university will raise. So, I've got the university's money here. I'm going to add to it the corporation's money. But what do we know about the corporation's money? Well, it's going to be 40% of the university money. Now, you know that that word of means what? Yes, it means multiplication. So I'm going to take 40% times that university money that's right here. We know that we can't work with 40% like this, and we need to turn it into a decimal. We know that means kick that decimal point that's currently back here, kick it 2 to the left, and that's going to give us 0.40 times the U. So 0.40 times that U. And I want that to be greater than or equal to my $800,000. So we've just done the hard part. We've set up our inequality. Now all we have to do is solve it. You know that when you solve these inequalities, the easiest thing to do is shave this side down as simple as you can get it. Shave this side down as simple as you can get it. This is already as simple as you can get it. But notice on this side, I can put these two together. They are like terms. They both have a variable in them. Now, this is like having a 1U plus a 0.4U, and a 1 plus a 0.4 is a 1.4. So I have a 1.4U greater than or equal to $800,000. Now what do I do to solve it? Absolutely, I divide both sides by this 1.4. That gets that U completely by itself. And now on the other side, I need to figure out what 800,000 divided by 1.4 is, and it is 571, 428.57. In other words, $571,428.57. The university needs to raise at least that much money. Now, do I flip that symbol? No. I did divide, but remember, only by a negative is when I flip that symbol. So, the university can raise more than this much money, but that is enough. That's the bare minimum, at least that much money. Okay. Great application here of the purpose of inequalities. See this kind of stuff all the time. Let's take a look at another application. Now in this one, we've got this couple and it's date night. So they are going to go out to a restaurant. Let's read it in its entirety to figure out what's happening, and then we're just going to slow it down sentence by sentence. So this couple does not want to have a charge of more than $50 for dinner at a restaurant because they're on a budget. They're trying to budget their money so they can make ends meet, but it's date night and they're ready to go out. A sales tax of 4% is added to the bill, and they plan to tip 15% after the tax has been added. This is not McDonald's, folks. We're at a nice restaurant where we're going to do tip. We want to know what can that couple spend on the meal. So let's think about what happens here. We've read it in its entirety just to get a feeling for what's happening. We need to figure out, how does this work? Well, what it tells me is they've got this amount they're going to spend on the meal. And then it says that they're going to add into that this sales tax, plus the sales tax. They're going to add into that this tip amount. And when they put all that together, that's going to equal the total cost. That's how this is going to work. So that's the general feeling of what's happening. So now let's think this through. The sales tax, remember, is 4% of the cost of the meal. Now, the tip is going to be 15% after the sales tax has been added. Let's go through this sentence by sentence. It says they don't want to spend any more than $50 on that meal. So this total cost, they don't want it to be any more than $50. So $50 over here, if they don't want it to be any more than that, then is this okay? Meaning all of this is going to be bigger than $50. No, definitely not. So how about this? Meaning all of this is going to be smaller than $50. Is that okay? Absolutely. But is $50 itself okay? Now it says no more than $50. So is $50 okay? Absolutely. So there's the equal to part that's in there. It's okay for it to be $50 itself. Now, we need to think about what's happening over here. So we've read the first sentence. The second sentence, that sales tax of 4% is added to the bill. Well, what is the bill? Because that's going to be 4% of the bill. You know that of means multiplication. You know that means I'm going to multiply 4% times whatever that bill was. Do you know how much that cost of the meal was? No. There's our unknown. So let's define it. I like the M. Let's go with that. Let's let M equal the cost of the meal. So we know that what's going to happen is there's the cost of the meal. We're going to add in that sales tax. And remember, the sales tax is going to be 4% of that M, of meaning multiplication. We also know that that means I can't use it as 4%. I need to turn it into a decimal. So take the decimal that's in the back, kick it 2 to the left, giving me 0.04. So that 0.04 is going to be multiplied to this M. That's going to be the sales tax amount, 0.04 times the M. So that's how we're going to calculate the sales tax. But then remember, it says after that, they plan on tipping 15% after the tax has been added. Now, think about how this is working. The tip amount is 15% of what? 15% of the cost of the meal with the sales tax. So it's 15% of all of this. Now we know that of means multiplication. We know that we're going to turn this into a decimal. We're going to take that decimal, the point that's back here, kick it to the left, giving us 0.15. We're going to take that 0.15, we're going to multiply it to what? All of this. So in other words, we're going to have added to that, this tip amount is going to be 0.15 times all of this, the meal plus the sales tax. And that right there gives us the tip amount. So we've got the cost of the meal, we've got the sales tax, we've got the tip amount, and remember we said we don't want that to be any more than $50. We just did the hard part. We set up our inequality. Now all we have to do is solve it. Great job setting it up. So to solve it, we know that we're going to distribute our 0.15 through, and so we get an m plus a 0.04 m. Or before we multiply that 0.15 through, notice the other thing that we can do. We can combine these within the parentheses. Me personally, I think that'd be a whole lot easier because then I don't have to multiply this twice. I only have to multiply once. So a 1m plus a 0.04m, or sorry, 0.04m is going to be a 1.04m. And now I can distribute this through a little bit easier because I'm only multiplying it once. So a 0.15 times a 0.04 is 0.156. And we've got all this over here. Now we are ready to simplify this side and combine up our like terms. Notice they're all like terms. They all have an m in them. So we have our 1m plus 0.04m plus 0.156m. That'll give us a 1.196m. And we know at this point we are ready to go through and divide both sides by 1.196. And 50 divided by 1.196 is 41.81. Not exactly, but we are using proper rounding rules here. And we know that this is dollars and cents, so we're going to round it to the hundredths place. And do we flip that symbol? Nope. We did divide, but not by a negative. So we're not going to flip the symbol. And remember, what this says to us is the cost of the meal, because that's our m, the cost of the meal is smaller, needs to be smaller than $41.80, or it can be $41.80. That's the maximum amount that they can spend on the meal if they're going to have that 4% sales tax and they plan on tipping 15%. They cannot or the cost of the meal cannot be any more than this. So I hope that helps. Lots of applications with our inequalities. And like we said before, read it in its entirety once to just get a feeling for what's happening. Take it slowly, sentence by sentence. Identify what your unknown is and define it. And then just simplify that side, simplify this side, and go with it. I hope that helps. Have a great day.